Hey, good to see you today. Um, I want to share something with you that we haven't even talked about yet. So, as we talked, first of all, let's connect. If we haven't connected already, this is my YouTube, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, Instagram. I would love to connect with you. I hang out a lot there and would love to be able to support you there. One of the things I love to talk about is encouragement. And um, today we're talking about this new idea that I have. I call it the two strike rule. Now, this is all about leading people. And what I know is true is all leaders manage, but not all managers lead. And when we're talking about leading, we're talking about the people. When we're talking about managing, we're largely talking about the processes and the systems that we have in place. There are 8 E's of leading people: expectations, experience, encourage, equip, train, equip or train, execute, excellence, evaluate, experiment, try something new, right? And so a lot of times that's kind of the backdrop of this conversation today. And what I want to talk about today, I call it the two strike rule. And on the two strike rule, we're talking about all about encouragement. So that's why I've got it built up a little bit there. Now, here's what I know is true. Like anytime you're in a batter's box, right-handed, left-handed, baseball, softball, whatever it is, whenever you get two strikes, everyone in the crowd, they're all saying the same thing. They all say the same thing. Like if you've ever been to a baseball game or a softball game and someone gets two strikes, you might hear someone say, "Put the ball in play." That's not what I'm talking about. You might hear someone say, "Just get a base hit." You might hear someone say, "Just a line drive." Listen, that's not what I'm talking about. Every single time, okay, let me say it differently. Every coach and everyone who used to play baseball or softball, whenever a hitter has two strikes on, they say the same thing: choke up on the bat. When someone says choke up on the bat, that means slide your hands up so you don't have to, you're not swinging the entire bat as hard, right? Like it's a bit of a different thing when they say choke up on the bat, because theoretically when you choke up on the bat, it's going to help you put the ball in play better, which is it's the entire point. Now, when you're talking about encouragement, encourage someone. Like everyone already knows, when you got two strikes on, choke up on the bat. Like they don't need you to say, hey, Mike, choke. I don't need. Listen, if I'm in the batter's box, I've got an 0-2 count on me. I don't need you to say, "Hey, Mike, choke up on the bat." I already know that in my mind. All of the voices in my head are saying, "Hey, Mike, choke up on the bat. Choke up on the bat." Why would I choke up on the bat? Because then the bat's easier to swing. You're not swinging the entire thing. You're swinging just a little bit. And if you already are choking up on the bat, but now you got two strikes, you choke up just a little bit more. That doesn't mean you're automatically going to bunt. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means you already know, okay, you already know you got two strikes on you. And let me tell you what I need when I got two strikes on me. I don't need you to come and tell me to choke up on the bat. Because I already know that. What I need is I need the third base coach to put their arm around me and walk me up the third base line and say, "Hey, Mike, I've seen you do this before. I know you can do this. You've already worked, you've prepared, you've done the work, you've gotten ready for it. You know this pitcher likes to pitch him high, likes to pitch him low, whatever we know about the pitcher." But I don't need someone to say, "Hey, choke up on the bat." Like I already know. Listen, I already know that. And I think you already know that too. So when you're talking about encouraging your team at work, let's not really always just only point out the stuff that they've already done wrong. Listen, if you want to tell me what I've done wrong, chances are good you're not going to be the first one to tell me that. Again, all the voices that we've got inside. If you really want to practice encouragement, then instead of saying choke up on the bat, which we already know, put your arm around and walk up the third base line and tell them what your experience is with them in a situation similar to this. If I missed an email or if I incorrectly wrote something, if I have a typo, I don't know, say on the cover of my book or something like that, which I did have on the first printing, and it was painfully obvious after I discovered it, after it was pointed out to me. But I love my wife for pointing it out to me, and she did it in a really awesome way. And one of my sons was there too, and he was really encouraging too. Like whenever we feel the pressure, what's always helpful to someone is to encourage them and then share what your experience is. Not just encourage them, not like pie in the sky. You're going to hit it out of the park when they've never even put the ball in play before. Like not something that's unrealistic, but something that's like, hey, man, Mike, listen. Okay, I know there's a typo on this one. The good news is we can proofread the typo, like we can correct it, and then we can get a new copy. We can print more copies of the book, your first book that you ever wrote. We can print more copies of it after we fix the typo. So fantastic. I think it's really important to take that failure that's happened and just reframe it. Take that mess up and reframe it. I'm holding up an imaginary picture frame here in my mind, because what happens as a leader, it's our job to frame the conversation, right? We're framing the conversation that we're talking about. Just picture a picture frame. We're framing the conversation we're talking about, and then once we're framing the conversation, then we can bring in some of the really important things that will really matter to this specific individual. Now, all players aren't coached the same. That doesn't mean you don't treat them all pretty equal, but they're not all coached exactly the same. Why? Well, because if you coach them all the same, you're going to get different results from all of them. It's kind of like at home with your kids. You parent in the same house. I grew up with two younger sisters. I grew up, and my wife and I had three kids. Like we raised them as close to the same as we could. They were in the same environment. Well, I mean, you could make it. They were in the same house with us their whole rearing years, but they're all three different. And whenever you're going to coach someone, you don't just coach them to what you know or what you have experienced. You also want to tailor it to them and their experience, because you can just say, well, Mike, you've got a typo on this one. You also had a typo on an email that you sent out. You've done 43 pieces of content in this month, and so far 6 of them have had errors on it of some kind. Okay, that might be true. Is it helpful? Jon Acuff wrote a tremendous book about overthinking, and it's called Soundtracks. And I am the guy who used 3 different color highlighters on the book about overthinking. I'll talk about that in a different video. It's an amazing book. And one of the things that I really love that Jon brings out in that book is instead of overthinking being a super problem, he teaches how to reframe it and help it to become a superpower. So what you want to do is you want to give them something positive to think about. It's not tricky. It's pretty basic. But for most of us, we're conditioned to point out what's wrong or what's missing instead of to focus on what's going well or ways that you can encourage them. So whenever there's a 2-strike rule, the 2-strike rule simply is whenever someone's got 2 strikes on them, they already know to choke up on the bat, right? They already know the obvious thing. You can still say the obvious thing, but don't only say the obvious thing. Swing hard, put the ball in play. All right, don't forget your plan. Okay, I got it. Don't forget to swing. Okay, gotcha. Swing level. Don't swing up. Gotcha. Okay, well, that's good. And what's something else? Something that you can say that will help them navigate all the voices in their head. Now, everybody doesn't have the same situation I do. I understand that completely. But what I want us to understand as leaders today is you can't just lead people the way that you were led, because you're not only leading people just like you, which is why the 2-strike rule. 2-strike rule is simply don't just tell them to choke up on the bat. Tell them choke up on the bat if you must. But don't only say choke up on the bat. The 2-strike rule is really encouraging them that you've seen them do this before. And since they've done a version of this before, they could do this too. You're helping build the belief in them in the moment that they need it the most. I'm curious, what's your experience with the 2-strike rule or something kind of like this? But whether you're playing baseball or softball or any other sport, or maybe in business, at work, at home, in your community, what's your experience with needing a little bit of encouragement? And instead of getting the encouragement, you got a little bit more of something that may have been obvious to you, maybe not. What's your experience with something, maybe even one thing that was really, really encouraging and really, really helpful at a time where you absolutely needed it the most? I'd love for you to leave that in the comments. Again, please follow, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff that you already know to do. And the reason I'll ask you to do that is because I believe my message is medicine. We've never had the opportunity to be more divided than we are right now as a people. And my work, my book, Communication Culture Volume 1, it's a playbook to end division at work and turn team members into teammates. And it's 46 bite-sized chapters with 40 blind spot alerts because we've all stepped in something we didn't see coming. And it's written on a 6th grade reading level because I want it to sit on the corner of the desk of every organizational leader and manager in every organization to try to help them lead their people, manage processes, measure and improve production and results. This is what we do here. Thanks for stopping by. See you in the next video.